So we've got black-white tokens here. Some interesting things to note is you have some Liliana the Veils. Is not a card I've played in this archetype before. Spectral Procession supplements the Lingering Souls. Last time we played this archetype, we had some copies of History of Benalia in it, which were consistently pretty good. So I'm interested to see how Spectral Procession feels versus where that card would. Cornfields are doing well. Swell day. Ezekiel's really good, right? You got a turn one discard spell, turn two Bitterblossom. We got some spot removal too as well. We're on the draw, so we could Fatal Push on 1/2 if they have an aggressive threat. I think it's better right now. I mean, just by the numbers, the Shadow version has more results, but I'm really not a fan of Grixis Shadow personally. Grixis Shadow, like, consistently feels just like 2 threat light when I play it. Stream Decker, good call. I forgot to do that last night. Usually I get all my stuff set up the night before. Good to go. Thanks for the reminder. We played Grixis Delver recently, and that felt pretty reasonable. And suddenly my hand feels very sad. Our opponents suspended a search for tomorrow there. Looks like they're playing blue Scapeshift. They kept a 1-lander though. Well, I guess I'm gonna take this Anticipate and hope they break off here. Their deck's full of lands though, so yeah, of course it's a tribal fairy. Just, you know, this is a no justice stream after all. Liliana is actually a pretty good pickup here. If we can find a black source, this card's very good at pressuring their hand. This could be a card that ticks up, pressuring their hand, and then eventually like threatens to take some of their lands away. So she offers a lot of potency. Yeah, eventually Field of Runes. Oh, Magic. I have to laugh because if I didn't, I'd cry. For those not paying attention, they kept a 1-lander and then hit running lands off the top here to cast their Cryptic Command on turn 3 off of a search for tomorrow. We did hit the black source though, so can't complain too much. We're definitely finding the things we're looking for. So they have Scapeshift, Snapkiss Rage, and then one card I don't know. Yeah, sign me up. I'm actually gonna go ahead and get the Liliana going first here, just because her threatening to ult is really important. Also, I want like the Scapeshift deck is a critical mass deck. It's a deck that is interested in. It needs both its lands and its spells. It needs its spells to not die, and needs its lands to obviously, you know, execute the Scapeshift win at some point. So being able to take their resources away here is pretty valuable. I'm keeping the Fatal Push here for now because they do have a Snapcaster Mage and I'm expecting them to flash in here. Take my STG Con bits. Also plan on taking Mardu Pyromancer PPTQ, but don't have ley lines. A buddy of mine recommended Surgical, but that's a lot more circumstantial stories. So I wonder if you had any advice. I think if you have access to ley lines, you should definitely play the ley lines. But if you don't have access to ley lines, I'd probably play Nihil Spellbomb. I don't even know if that's... They're all just like much worse. Like I think the power of Leyline of the Void is one of the things that's really good about Mardu in general. Loki, thank you for the 7-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. They fired a lightning bolt too. God, the beats have not been kind to us this game, chat. Just all the things have lined up not in our favor. You could maybe make the argument that I should have perhaps waited on the Liliana until I had Bitterblossom going. Let it be known that watching Tireless Trackers seasons past on Jim's stream, but decided to come here instead for True Value. Put it towards the con. Thank you, Phoenix Lance, for the support. I appreciate it. 57 plus 15 is 72. I could do math, chat. It's early. Basic arithmetic. It's early for basic arithmetic. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and fire up Shambling Vent here. Staying above 18 is actually valuable in this matchup, because if you can stay above 18, they need 8 lands to kill you with Scapeshift. The way this game's been going, I'm assuming they have 8th land Scapeshift here. Well, that's pretty likely to find them a Scapeshift. What a game of Magic. What a game of Magic the Gathering, chat. I would be surprised if this matchup is not bad for us. What happens if I don't hit the goal? We're going to do a 12-hour stream if we don't hit the goal. 12+ hour. It'd just be too much work to manually track where all the bits and stuff are coming from. So I already have a lot going on while streaming. So if we fall short of the goal, we're going to do a long stream. That being said, like, we're what, 18% in 3 days, and I'm gonna let the goal run for 2 months to the first week in November is when I would like to know by. What's going on, Jarvis? Good morning. Yeah, any amount of bits or dollars that you donate just indicate that they're for the SCG Con fund. They'll get added to the ticker. Yeah, 16's like my upper limit, so yeah, that seems fine. Needs another land. Hopefully we see an untapped land on top of our deck here. Got you, Blinky. I'm actually going to keep that. Unlike what's it called? Unlike the red-green Titan Shift deck, the Temur Scapeshift deck, it basically doesn't have meaningful win conditions in their deck once you take away their Scapeshifts or their Valakuts. So I'm gonna keep this Surgical so we can Thoughtseize them and then possibly take Scapeshifts away. I'm gonna lead on the Intangible Virtue here. I think I'm actually going to wait a little bit. So one of the things that I think people do incorrectly in some of these combo matchups is be too aggressive with their Thoughtseizes. My opponent's combo card doesn't kill us until they have 7 lands in play. So I'm going to wait a bit on this Thoughtseize to give them more chances to draw their Scapeshift, because Scapeshift is the card that I would actually like to take away from them. Well, there could be an argument to be made for casting it this turn before they have Cryptic up, but honestly, we're just like about to aggro them out, right? Yeah, we've played a couple of Countryside Crusher decks on stream before, and they've always felt pretty mediocre. Morning, Weens. That's not Cryptic Mana. How do you feel about dying this turn? Next turn? Dead next turn? Justice, what do you think is the biggest thing stopping this archetype from being better? Honestly, I think this archetype just, like, probably hasn't really been worked on by anybody with any sort of gumption. I think this deck probably has a lot of very reasonable tools. Blink of an eye, you're vampire, sure. I mean, they're still like dead next turn-ish, right? Yeah, they're actually just like dead next turn, because this is nice clean 11s. They have mountain, double Valakut in hand, deal. So if they don't draw a piece of interaction here, Shambling Vent is lethal along with this 9 power. And, like, this is, like, a good example of, like, you know, showing, like, this deck could really have some potential, I think, because, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if this matchup is bad for us, but, like, this is what you need to be competitive in Modern, right? You need like, these really strong, potentially linear draws, like a hair of disruption mixed in, and then you're able to actually kill your opponent, so you have a reasonable deck. Alright, are you dead? Or did you draw a lightning bolt? Snapcaster Mage also works. This deck is very bad against Blood Moon. That is one of the reasons why I would not play this deck in a real tournament. I really, you know, figure out the cards you hate losing to. I hate losing to Blood Moon. So this would not be a good deck choice for me, because this is a 2-color deck that loses to Blood Moon. Blood Moon. This is exactly the style of deck that Blood Moon is good against in Modern. Fair, interactive, mid-range deck. That's playing more than basic lands. Yeah, pretty confident. We're boarded how I want to be boarded. One of the really nice things about Liliana in the Veil in the matchup like this is that she kind of covers both halves, both aspects that their deck can attack on. She pressures their hand and then eventually their lands to make their Scapeshifts worse. But then, like, if they board in things like Obstinate Baloth or, like, other alternative win conditions like Thragtusk, she's also an Edict effect that can help us clean those up. This hand could use a couple of lands, but it's pretty reasonable. I guess it really doesn't have any pressure in it. And again, you know, something we talk about on stream here constantly, it's not the disruption that beats these combos decks. It's the pressure that you mix in with the disruption that allows you to be successful against them consistently. I'm gonna fire off this Thoughtseize on 1 here, and the reason why I'm firing this off aggressively after we talked about last game about potentially being more conservative with these is the fact that I kind of have a curve laid out here, right? Like if I draw some lands this game, I'm going to have my mana tied up for turns 2, 3, and 4, which means I'm probably not going to have time to cast the Scapeshift. Surgical. So, happy to still be allowing you to do this. So, Pinky, thank you for the 8 months. Welcome back, and thanks for keeping me employed for another. Yeah, Blue-Red Tempo is going to be the last deck today. I play the decks in order, generally speaking. Add this to the real Blood Boot deck. Black-Red Walkers. Will do, Mark. Thanks for the support. Stevo Bandito here. It's a Collective Brutality. I mean, I guess I just escalate this, right? Is there a reason to escalate this? There's not. Getting to 17 doesn't really do anything. This is nice too, because even if they peer through depths in response, I'm just going to take whatever they peer through depths into. Yeah, which is what they're realizing, so they're not going to cast it. There's no reason for them to give me another card. We could kill their Steve. You are not wrong. You are technically correct, which one could argue the best kind of correct. Black Source. Ding. Like I said, I'm gonna just get this going ASAP. They are a critical mass deck, so every resource we take away from them is very valuable. Is Fulminator Mage like the anti-Steve? Is that how he works? We're actually dead to Scapeshift here. They have a Mountain in their hand, and this gets their 7th land. Oh, Magic's great. Oh, Magic. It's a heck of a game sometimes. Those damn OTK decks. Those damn OTK decks. And that's why this archetype's really bad against that Scapeshift deck. And actually the fact that decks like this have kind of been bullied out of the format is a big part of why Scapeshift isn't successful anymore. Like the types of matchups that Scapeshift is able to prey on struggle to find success consistently in Modern. It's possible I should Thoughtseize on 1 here. I don't know, I kind of like it my tapped land down. I get to discard spell list first now, though. I think the 2 things I want most out of a new non-rotating format are no fetch lands and no 1-mana discard spells. Those are the 2 things that it would just be, not that they're inherently bad, but it would just be nice to have a format that we could work on that didn't involve either of those things. Concession Virtue. Okay. Okay, sure. Sure. I assume... I don't even know what to assume. They went Marsh Flats Water Game. I was going to say, I'm going to assume like some kind of Grixis Shadow, but that's like Esper, right? Yeah, duress is fine. I think the very, very conditional ones are fine. Blackmail is a really well-designed card. I really like Blackmail as a card. Do we assume it's Shadow on Marsh Flats? Assuming it's Shadow on Marsh Flats feels loose. I don't know. I might just run it back. I think I'm just going to run it back for now. I didn't notice that there are Rest in Pieces and Leylines on this board until just now. That's an interesting split. I think we got a pretty decent matchup against a lot of fair decks in the format. The old basic swamp, Spectral Procession hand. Yep, that is certainly a thing. Just from like a card design perspective, Blackmail is just like a more well-designed card in my opinion than things like Thoughtseize and Inquisition. So I like that. I like cards in TCGs that allow both players to be making relevant decisions, and Blackmail allows that to happen, whereas Thoughtseize and Inquisition, like, all these cards do is like take choices away from my opponent. Yeah, it looks like it might be like a token mirror. Play Shambles here. They get to curve out really cleanly here. Do they draw a Logic Knot? Counter Squall. Alright. Touche. Esper cards they like. Sure. I'm going to play Procession here. Gets me a little bit more value up front. Sweet. Makes this Thoughtseize a little bit worse. I'm just going to trade these off. I think I'm going to go ahead and like Sorin down tick if we hit a land. We did not. Makes that choice easy. So they get to get an Elspeth going here. Oh. I got souls, man. I got souls. All right. They really didn't want to play the tokens mirror. Really did not want to play the tokens mirror. They must watch the stream. They must watch the stream. You know, Life EV. All about that Life EV. They did it for the chat. They're trying to tick off bingo squares for people in chat. Alright. I'm gonna fetch Shock and play this Legion's Landing, I think. Nah, I'm gonna Thoughtseize on one. Let's Thoughtseize on one. What's going on, Ad Nauseam? Double Noble Hierarch. Mantis Rider's just like really annoying, right? It's just like plays offense and defense here. When you Thoughtseize into hands like this, it's very tempting to try and take away like their Noble Hierarchs, like try and get them. Don't try and get them. Just take the cards that kill you and play good Magic. I'm glad we queued into this matchup. Someone asked earlier why the archetype that we're playing here isn't more popular, and I'm interested to see how this matchup plays out. Worth noting here that the Spectral Procession is not currently castable on turn 3, and one of the things I kind of wanted to keep track of is how often this was going to be better than History of Benalia. So, if we don't draw a white source next turn, it's going to look pretty worse. And it's also kind of awkward, though, too, because, like, I'm sitting here hoping to draw a white source to cast this, but, like, I kind of also want more spells, right? Because I already have 4 lands. Playing this card along with so many basics and colorless sources seems a little bit loose, potentially. I mean, my thoughts on them are that the power level of everything in Magic is 4-back contextuals. Like, we don't know if any of them are good until we see the cards that they're printed on. Lingering Souls, rude. There's 1 filter land in our deck. Filter lands in general are pretty bad, though. Like, you draw your filter land. Blech. What a kick. What a kick. I think we're pretty dead here. Dragons are gonna get pretty big pretty quickly, and they're just gonna, like, put us under the abyss. Sorin lets us, like, have a swing for a turn, but, like, it's really not that much, right? It makes tokens, and this is a tokens deck. Vault is potentially good, that's true. That's true. There's potential for Vault to be very good if we run off another land here. They are out of cards too, I suppose. Okay. Yeah, we played an iteration of this deck on stream before with history in it. Which was Damnation here. I didn't even look at what that was doing. The problem with the Vault of the Archangel is that, like, in order for the Vault of the Archangel to have an impact on the game, I have to, like, sit here and hold it up. And that is not really something that I can't sit here and hold up Vault while simultaneously advancing my board state is the issue. I feel like this is a Death Cloud deck. You gotta validate statements like that here. Why is this a Death Cloud deck? What issue does this deck have that is fixed by adding a card that costs basically 5+ mana to it? We have, like, exactly 1 way to break parity. Even that doesn't seem particularly great. I think I'm actually gonna play Sorin in plus here. I am in combat. That's why I can't cast this. Yes, why can't I cast Sorin? So getting the Sorin into play means that we're able to kind of be doing something while we sit here and hold up Vault of the Archangel. All of the matches I play here on stream can be found on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JeffHoagland. If you have a question, have we played something before? You can always go check on there. There's a lot of card advantage here. Yep. I have to throw away a spirit for Sorin not to die here. It's coming at me or Sorin? It's coming at Sorin, yep. $100. That's how much it costs to cut the line. This could potentially force a more aggressive attack on my opponent here in order to prevent the Sorin from embleming. Which could maybe force this Meddling Mage to attack, which could potentially allow us to get these Lingering Souls cast and going. If we draw pieces spot removal to take this Meddling Mage off the table, it could be okay. And the problem is they have this Bugler in their hands, so they're gonna, like, have a chance to find a Reflector Mage and, like, take one of our blockers out here. I mean, I would assume that the opponent's deck is able to consistently create large creatures like this while disrupting us, and then put us into positions like this where they quickly put us under the abyss. So, like, while we have blockers, like, the blockers aren't really doing anything that's particularly meaningful. especially when they're playing like Militia Bugler. Like this is exactly the style of matchup where Bugler shines. Like Bugler's not particularly good against a lot of the decks that are good in Modern, but against you know, these kind of mid-rangey decks, people hate losing to mid-range decks. So playing mid-range decks in Modern is always kind of a liability. Yeah, and the Lieutenant lets them not attack with the Meddling Mage here, so I think we're just dead to rights. Yeah, Humans is like the indisputed best deck in the current format. I don't know that it's like that much better than everything else, but it definitely like has the most results, and it has tools. And like the Humans deck is just good because it does exactly what you want to be doing in Modern. It's mana efficient with these Aether Vials. It has like good go over the top cards in creatures that can get extremely large, etc., etc. All right, so let's go trade for these two. Sorin's gonna take 2. Yeah, and they get Staticaster post board. Yeah, that's brutal. It's a pile of synergy and disruption. Yeah, it is a fast clock and powerful disruptive elements. We draw a Path to Exile here to take this Meddling Mage out of play to be able to deploy Lingering Souls. These Lingering Souls in the back of Vault of the Archangel could potentially be okay for us, but if we don't draw Path or Fatal Push here, we're probably just dead to rights. I feel like every time somebody casts Bugler in the world in Humans, like Cedric Phillips like twitches wherever he's at. They have a Phantasmal Image here. That's rough. Yeah, we need Path or Push this turn, even though it might not be enough. Yep. Yeah, kinda. Like, Bitterblossom, part of the reason why Bitterblossom hasn't quite taken off in Modern is because, like, it ultimately just, like, makes you die more slowly a lot of the time in my experience. I'm gonna tram 4 discard spells here. Liliana's, like, not amazing in this matchup, but I think she's better than a discard spell. She's, like, at least an Edict effect, which is decent. Woke up early today, chat. Decided to go to the gym before I streamed. 6 a.m. is really early. The sun was just like, just barely creeping up over the horizon. Nah, I think I'm going to leave. Maybe I'll trim 1 Liliana for the last Inquisition, but I definitely don't want Thoughtseize in my deck in this matchup. I think Thoughtseize is not a card I'm interested in having in my 60. Opponent is playing magic cards. What about extractions, right? Yeah, I generally feel better when I go in the morning. We basically never play Standard on this stream. Also, the donation system that I do for the decks that we play on this channel means that if I was going to play Arena, I would have to have a full Standard set, and I really don't feel like cutting WotC a check for $1,000. Wizard of the Coast has enough of my money from over the years. I don't need to give them $1,000 for digital cards that I'll never be able to get back. Magic Online and MTGO traders are great in that respect. No, probably not. In order for me to do on Arena what I do on Magic Online, I would probably have to cut WotC a check for 5 or 6 digits. Like, building I would basically have to own all of Modern, and to buy 20, 15 years worth of sets on Arena's economic model would just be an absurd price. School started today, so the fiance is back at work, and I now wake up an hour earlier and had to pack my own lunch. That's brutal. I don't know what Brune is. And again, like, the question, is it good enough for Modern? That's not a question I can answer for you. That sounds like something you do the legwork on. Gotta practice. I cannot. I'm really bad at seeing into the future. Bitterblossom plus Virtue here could maybe be good enough, especially if we get to find some land to get to cast Sorin. I mean, technically it's the gameplay too, considering I can't play the games that I want to play on Arena. Like, Magic is all about the formats that we play, right? So, like, if Arena doesn't let me play the formats that I want to play, like, it's useless to me as a person, as a player. So, I hate free-to-play games. Free-to-play games always... I actually typed out a tweet complaining about people that promote free-to-play games, and then I backspaced it and decided that it just sounded too salty. Whenever people talk about free-to-play games, it constantly reminds me of the fact that, like, lots of people value their time at $0 per hour. And, like, I guess if you, like, enjoy, like, playing garbage decks against other garbage decks and, like, enjoy grinding, sure, the game's free to play. But, like, your time is worth money. And if you don't enjoy playing bad decks against other bad decks, if your game feels like a job, then it's a job. And it's not a game. And it stops being fun. Why not Brutality there to bin souls? And, well, this is on Lingering Souls. I didn't want a Brutality there to bin souls because the Champion of the Parish is what's threatening my health total. My 2/2 spirits keep the rest of their board at bay. So I'd much rather kill the thing that's actually pressuring me and allow myself to build up more spirits here. I think Red-White Prison is not a deck that I would play in Modern. I think both Blood Moon and Chalice of the Void are not good cards in this format. Like, I shouldn't, if I feel bad when I'm playing a game, like, I'm not playing a game at that point. The game isn't accomplishing what I would like it to accomplish at that point. Land. Magic is a low variance game. Doo-da, doo-da. That is so many spells. Oh, the doo-da day. We are so dead. We are so dead. Do 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 do. Yeah, I don't think we can beat any of these cards really. Yeah. And, like, I know we stumbled and fumbled in these games, but, like, you know, it's just, like, a good example of, like, why humans is just great, right? Like, they put a very real clock on the table while simultaneously disrupting the opponent. And it's the reason why that deck keeps putting up the numbers that it does at tournaments and such. It's not there by mistake. Inquisition's a great card. Inquisition and Thoughtseize save you more time than any other cards in Magic the Gathering. You just, like, cast them and you go, oh, yep, never beating that. Right-click concede. Ad nauseum player says humans is too ridiculously good. Checks out. I don't keep up on spoilers, really, so I don't really know what these cards do. My generic comment for spoilers in general is always the same. Power level of cards is contextual to the format that they're being played in. So if you think you can evaluate any cards that are being printed in terms of standard, you haven't experienced rotation before, you need to wait until you have the whole set. And as far as modern goes, the power level for breaking into modern is pretty high. So I don't have a Doomblade. I was just saying I don't have a Doomblade in my hand, which makes me want to play Thoughtseize on one here in case they have a young Pyromancer. But since I drew Fatal Push, I'm just gonna play Legion's Landing here. And then next turn we can go Thoughtseize plus push if they have a 2-drop creature. I think 2-mana discard spells in general are too slow in Modern unless they're absurdly flexible. Oh no. Oh, Living End is probably unbeatable. It's because of both, Mason. The deck is a sum of its parts. So both of those things are reasons why that archetype is good. Yeah, I mean, they're down to 2 cards in the hand, but, like, the reason why Living End is, like, kind of reasonable, like, again, this is just, like, exactly the type of deck that Living End preys on. Just, like, this kind of mopey mid-range deck that kills with creatures and doesn't have a clock. Yeah, I'm just gonna concede and play the last one. We, Discard Disruption is really... Cheesy Pie Gaming, thank you for the 9 months and welcome back. I appreciate that. Discard Disruption is really inefficient against Living End because they just get to cycle through and find more of their things. I've got the bingoers. I've got the bingoers on lock today. This is gonna be a quick VOD, you're not wrong. Yeah. The biggest issue with this deck, and this, like, black-white in general, kind of, is, like, the lack of Tarmogoyf is like, you really feel it. And by Tarmogoyf, I don't mean even just specifically the card Tarmogoyf. I mean, like, Tarmogoyf generic. By that, I mean, like, a card that allows you to apply significant pressure to the opponent very quickly. Grixis Delver? Grixis Delver is probably a good matchup for us. Are we getting to Swans tomorrow? I think I'm holding... Yeah, Treasure Hunt, Swans, and Summoner's Egg. I'm going to hold those for Monday. Because those are, like, full-on memes. So, I'm accepting some deck lists with the asterisk that I'm explicitly playing them on Mondays. They're playing Death Shadow Delver. That's interesting. I'm gonna take their Inquisition here, actually. They're, like, really far off of being able to play this Death Shadow. And I would prefer they don't take my Intangible Virtue away. Sure, definitely not, Chris. That's why I said not specific. That's actually, the Delve threats are actually explicitly why I said I'm not talking about specifically the card Tarmogoyf, but a Tarmogoyf style effect. Quick Delve threats are that Tarmogoyf style effect, which are what really push the Grixis decks, like Grixis Delver and Shadow, into being playable, because they can apply a very quick, resilient clock alongside their disruption. So, that is... Those are Tassiger and those are good examples of exactly what I'm talking about. Zingyish, thank you for the $1 donation. Oh, my dashboard's not loaded. Refresh that real quick. You gave me 2 cents, so here's $1 back. Thank you for the support. Alright, they found a land. Means they can, No, actually, Mardu Pyromancer tends to struggle against the really fast combo decks for the most part. because it tends to lack a Tarmogoyf-esque card like I'm referring to here. So you have Bolt, Terminate, and one card I don't know. I think I'm supposed to be attacking with this. And like this is a good example of one of the weaknesses to how this build of tokens explicitly is built is we have, you know, these cards that are very synergistic, but when the elements that allow them to synergize with the other parts of our deck don't come together for us, we're just kind of left holding this like collection of like kind of individually weak magic cards. I think that's one of the things I dislike about this build. I feel like these cards, while like when they're good, they're great. When they're bad, they're unplayable. And it's just these decks that try to lean basically in Modern, in my opinion, if you're going to play a synergistic deck, your payoff needs to probably be better and arguably more consistent, like what this deck is doing as far as the payoff that Intangible Virtues will go. Yeah, Pyro Delver. Yeah, feel free to update, just keep the archetype the same. As long as you don't change a deck into a different archetype, I don't care if you make changes. If we find a Lingering Souls here, we could be in a great spot. Found another Intangible Virtue. Yay! I think I just... I guess we attack. Any chance I get to six decks on Monday? Nope. Very, very unlikely. If I have to be done by... The only reason I ran late this past Monday is because Christy and the kids head off of school and work. So normally during the week I have to be done by 3:30 every day so I can pick Jacob off the bus. Usually I do 4 decks in a day. My leagues average about 90 minutes. Some are more, some are less. The average is about 90. And again, I just like can't cast any spells because I have to sit here and activate this Vault of the Archangel. Which deck would I play in a paper tournament? Blue-Red Tempo is my favorite deck in Modern right now. But I don't have any paper tournaments coming up for a little while. The STG Con Invitational will be my next tournament if we meet that goal. So I haven't really been preparing for anything. When I'm attending paper tournaments, I'm a responsible adult and I invest time practicing. Because if I'm gonna spend, you know, $1,000 to get to and play in a tournament and get, you know, 5 days of my life, I'm gonna be prepared for it. Be able to answer those questions. Those what do I want to be playing and why. Good use of the fetch line here from the opponent. Getting to shuffle away a card they potentially don't want. My latest deck list for every archetype that I prefer can always be found on my website. I'm pretty off this deck. jeffhoagland.com/decklist. So, black-white tokens. I think if you're going to build black-white tokens, I think these cards are a trap. I think Intangible Virtue and Legion Landing, these individually weak cards that are trying to like lean into being synergistic, I think these are not cards that you want to be playing in Modern. I think while the payoff on these cards is really good, when they work, when they're not doing anything, they're just really not doing anything, right? And I think a better approach to this style of gameplay are cards like Sorin, Solemn Visitor, and Gideon, Ally of Zendikar, because these are cards that are like reasonable Magic the Gathering cards, even when the rest of your synergies aren't coming together. So like by just playing more individually powerful cards, your deck is more cohesive as a whole. With that, we actually have a